Welcome back. Now we're going to show you how to do your power cabling. Our Andersons are already done because they already came done, but later in the video we'll show you how to actually assemble the Andersons. There's two silver bits inside that get crimped onto each cable and put in their plastic housing. For us, we've already wired or laid out the wire, we haven't attached it yet with our Anderson clips. We'll show you this in the wiring diagram, including the instruction manual. So you want one over here for this battery pack, and the cabling will lead all the way over here to this end that'll attach to the second battery pack, which is in series. The end of it loops all the way back to this shunt, which you guys will not have. This is just for our testing purposes. So I already installed it to this wire. So we have this end and this end for the two battery ends. I'll start over here at the positive end. So this is battery positive. Here, remember our fuse block we installed earlier? It's just going to take the top bolt right off and put this in line with the fuse. You want to make sure that the wire sticks out straight, parallel with the fuse, so you can put your fuse cover back onto it once we've gotten to that point. Next we have another small wire that will go here on the fuse and go to the contactor, completing the next component in this series. Make sure it's convenient to have orange wires go for positive and black for negative, or just differently colored wires. You should have the appropriately sized wire connectors included in your kit, but you will be responsible for crimping and cutting to size. If you follow the wiring diagram that we provide with the kit, it should be fairly simple. Just lay out your components on your controller plate and your battery is mounted. We'll show you how to do that later. And then measure your wire and cut it. So right now I'm currently using a 1/2-inch wrench to loosen these. This one will go from one side of the fuse to the contactor. Yet again, this is still considered battery positive. So now they're both on, I can start tightening them up. Yet again, making that the one that goes in the fuse is straight, so the fuse block will still have its cover on it. And remember, once a connection is made, you want it to be tight. This reduces resistance and allows for safer operation. That. Put the fuse cover back on. Snaps into place. Contactor bolt back on. Remember, tighter is better with the electrical connections. Just be careful not to strip any of the bolts or the threads. The next line in the series goes from the contactor to the shunt. This shunt is the one we showed you how to install. Once these come off, we'll bridge this gap here, from here over to here. Make sure you have your washers on there. Keeps everything nice and tight and connected. Make sure your bolt doesn't want to back out if you have a lock washer on there. Screw that in. And finish up the connection on the contactor. Once that's nice and tight, we'll tighten that up later with an appropriate wrench. Move on to the next step. And from here, we're going to put on the battery positive side. If you come over here, you can see the labeling on the front of the controller. So you have battery positive here, along with battery negative, M negative, and your smaller pins for controls. So on battery positive, we'll actually put two wires on here. one wire that's going to reach around and go to the other end of the shunt that we just wired to complete the positive end of the circuit. And this other wire here goes to the motor positive, since they're connected on the same place on this controller. That. We'll tighten that up once we get another ratchet in here. So, this one's going to come back around to complete the circuit. Comes over here to the shunt. Remember, don't lose these washers. It helps make the connection a little tighter, which gives you a better connection with less resistance and heat buildup. And later we'll show you how to wire the rest of the shunt and the contactor circuits to go with the safety circuits and the monitoring circuits. Now we'll wire the motor. As you can see, this is a permanent magnet E-Tech RT. So it's going to have two, a positive and a negative. So from here, we're just going to take the top off, slip our connector on, tighten it up, and like I said, this goes to battery positive as well on the controller. Our next piece of wiring goes to motor negative, which is down here. It's just the other stud on the motor. Slip the wire on, clock washer on, tighten that up. This wire will run up here to motor negative on the controller. Be careful that when you're working on the wiring at any time that there are no batteries connected and that the internal capacitors in the controller are discharged. They can give you a little shock sometimes if you haven't discharged them. And like I said, never ever work on the wiring with the batteries attached in the series, or I usually like to take them all the way off the cart just for safety measures. So once this is attached, we have our motors all wired together. Now we have to complete the last connection in the main power circuit, which is our battery negative. It comes off our shunt that you guys will not have, but that shunt just eventually connects to the battery pack. Undo that, slip this on, and connect this last connection. Now make sure once all the connections are on, you double check that they're all tight. A loose connection, like I've said over and over and over again, is never good in a circuit carrying this much power. Make sure they're all tight, and tighten them more than finger tight like I am now. This is just for demonstration purposes. Get a ratchet and wrench out and make sure they're all nice and tight. And that is the power circuit in an EV go-kart.